Low-key.
And Ulk early on the south side of Battlewood Boulevard. Actually, elimination probably spitting it. Does look like Toronto somewhere else on the map kind of stole that one away. So they're only going to get the one elimination, 4 points, but they are going to get most of that loot out of the elimination. That's Toronto and Slips. Further down south outside of Battlewood, kind of split the drop
crazy
down
for
there
that, my
towards
guy.
the bottom. Just kind of take those little opportunities while you can. That's kind of the name of the game.
Nice little elim for them, given that they're playing the coastal line. Back on over to the Paint the Palms here. Blanks and Mako, again, managed to find a nice little victory there coming out of their heats category.
Mako.
Team to their north, though,
like
again, you're going to find a lot of duos trying to hold down the
40s?
vending machines at the POIs. They're basically death traps. You got to be super careful when approaching those areas. Raven CDZ coming off a hot little victory of an early game battle for themselves, but wasn't able to convert anything else after that game too.
Almost feels like for them, they've been almost 3 different drops throughout the 3 games that we've seen so far. Top side of the map, we saw them take on Dozier and Ishu, go against Chris and Drew, and now against Threats and Beer. Just trying to find their spot on a map like this is not going to be the easiest thing, especially a team like Threats and Beer who just want to rid everyone out of their POI. It's a legendary POI, so you can see exactly why they're fighting. More loot, more gold, more opportunity if they're able to get it to themselves. As they quickly go through at least 1 box of pizza. While Threats heals, Veer is kind of put the pressure down so that way they can't easily turn and burn to try to take down Threats in a 2v1.
We'll see what Raven and CDZs can take away from this finals as a whole. Because they're starting to notice, I think, that you can't just be too flexible on the lobby. You will encounter incredibly talented players everywhere you go. And even now, one might argue that this is an even better team in Threats and Veer. Monster shot for him there to finish up with the assistance of a team and the Riptides there, and just like that, they get sent back to the lobby.
Yeah, I gotta imagine that was HQ and Encrypted from their lighthouse just west of Squibbly. For them, it's not even necessarily about the elimination. For HQ Encrypted, it's just the early game storm surge. You can kind of see cut halfway through Battlewood Boulevard, the zone is already pushing teams towards the north side of the map. And that gives a little bit of a cushion here for Veno and Curve to do these lurk plays just like this. We saw it in the last game. We're going to see it here again. Curve probably trying to distract Tyler and Chance from the distance.
We got Higgs and clicks.
They're nowhere to be found.
Yo, I do that strat all the time.
Veno a little bit of a lurk opportunity.
I always keep eyes on what Veno's up to.
Chat, me, my duo does that strat so much.
Most decorated players, one who tends to come in with an extreme amount of preparation. It's always something to learn. Always something up these elite pros sleeves, of course. For Clicks and Higgs, things are just business as usual here at the Wonky Land. You got Higgs on watch up top. Meanwhile, back to Veno. Just when you think it's safe, you never know.
This is a long investment in time right now from Veno.
Veno.
Up above, you got Curve lurking around, so they got basically all the important exits locked down. Veno watching the whole other side of that building, probably getting the audio visuals as well. A lot of information for him to keep to himself. And it's just the patience here is going to be the biggest thing. Does he try to go in and make a play by himself, especially with how far Curve actually is? You could use a shockwave to cut the distance, but anything can happen in a quick couple of seconds for Tyler and Chance. Great heads-up play for them. They probably realize what Veno and Curve do, how they play and lurk around the entire POI, whether they're contested or not. So better safe than sorry.
Yeah, and of course, they're just trying to get that critical medal, right? So Veno recognizes this. He knows an opportunity is just moments away. Boyo Peterbot on the other side.
Yo, they could low-key, I don't know.
Get their medal in order
I can
as
see
well,
them winning,
preparing for the mid-game.
But the way they're playing right now,
eyeing up a team in the distance. It's going to be Muzzin Sphinx right now.
I'm not really,
come out.
yeah.
Those are tags that Peterbot will just not miss.
Yeah, a little bit of a different game this time around.
I can actually
Does look like it's going to continue to go towards the north, over towards Wonky Land, maybe the north side of the map, Fortress.
Game yet, low-key.
So Peterbot Poyo do have access to that rift if they do want to use it. Haven't really seen it in play too much so far on the day, but Sometimes you got to save the tricks to when you
Yo,
do
I
need it most.
swear,
Age
I
is a
can't
ritual.
find
You can see some of the
Beyonce, though.
early games so far
Beyonce
throughout the
would,
first
Josh.
two. It was Storm Surge early because they're not contested and the surrounding land isn't as contested as it usually is. They're just going to have to
Last
hunt
place right
for
here.
that Storm Surge rather than sit in the zone.
Got Aegis and Ritual. Last place.
Got a couple highlights though. This is one from Listen and Aloe's duo. Oh, they find someone fresh off the reboot.
Max.
Quick finish there, and then of course they're gonna go into collapse on the solo. Just like that, they earn their first set of points here in the finals lobby.
Bucky.
Jumping back to Paper though. Paper went from
Paper and
early
Bucky.
eliminations have to drop now to fight Bucky and Zen here. Bucky's in big danger. Zen forced to back him up right now, give him a little bit of room to work
Yo,
with.
chat, I want to see Bucky and Paper go after it.
Paper and Resi have been rotating
Oh,
north to end up in this position. Mending Machine is right there, so you can kind of see what their focus
I wonder
is.
who would win it.
Resi doesn't have a ton
Paper and
of
Bucky
gold,
went after, like,
so it's
one
not really going to get
against,
much out of it. You got to
Bucky.
hope Paper has the lion's share of that one. But they're just really trying to control this whole side of the map. But for Bucky and Zen, you see empty item slots, not a lot of builds, not a lot of heals. They're in a drastic situation. Maybe
Yo,
not
Pollo and Peter Butt
in a
not close
spot to
together
where they
at
start
all.
to get desperate, but they have to start thinking what
Peter
plan
Butt
B is going to
pushing
be.
that?
I was gonna say, remember, Pewterbot and Pollo were desperate for Surge last game. Look at the adjustment in their strategy. They find a duo that seems to be somewhat isolated from the rest of the rotate, and now they're going in hyper aggressively.
Run from one team to the next. A lot of teams on the north side of the map, for some reason, making their way down south. You can see the drop is there. Almost a little bit more of a reward outside of the eliminations, but Foyo lands the first big shot to try to break things up. Peterbot is going ahead and putting pressure, cleaning up
People
that
takes them
elimination, easing up that Storm Surge pressure here. You called it out. Last game wasn't the best game for them in terms of Storm Surge. In fact, it was almost the reason why they went down early, got lobby focused. Now with that elimination there, they're going to be able to claim that drop to themselves and maybe even move back to their POI.
Yeah, and the speed of which they can finish a fight is
Yeah,
definitely the
Batman,
difference maker from them to a
Golden
more
Raptor.
average pro team.
Yeah, I low-key,
Kind of a
cold is
rapid
cool
here.
and
We
all
get a
that,
little update with the
but I
situation.
low-key
That
don't like,
big shotgun
like,
in hand. It's definitely
how do I explain
power
that?
load
He's
out
like
here.
low-key,
cold with a quick two-piece right there. That's a plus 50 for them.
I don't even know how to say it, like, how to explain it. But he has an ego. There we go.
Who's
Yeah,
counting
he has
for
an
the
ego.
Surge for them? 110 points so far throughout 2 games. Cold and Rapid in 4th place, but just like the first and second
Preston
place
and
point
Blake.
differential, you got Visuals and Braids right underneath at 109. They won our
I don't
first
see Blake
game
getting
of
top
the
10
day,
low
really
key.
set
No
the tone
offense to
and
Blake,
the
but I don't
pace
see him
that
getting top
everybody
10.
has to follow up on. So it's definitely not going to be easy.
Which
but
y'all,
Wagers
who do y'all
and
think is going to be top
Slepsy
10?
rotating on over towards Riptide. They used to land here, but didn't want to end up in a disadvantaged fight, so they went ahead and
Aegis,
went elsewhere.
Clicks,
As Flex
Peanut
goes down,
Butter.
leaving Light by himself. Plenty of heals in the Chug
They
Jug
are
and the Splash
guaranteed
to
top
get
10.
up 200 effective shield
Might
and
be a
HP.
guaranteed
Not
top
has the same
6.
comfortability with the Slapperoni Pizza
No,
on the
guaranteed
other
top
side,
5.
but
Guaranteed
it's a
top 5.
1v1 with the zone pulling further and further away. Even if they win this fight, they got to find the time to get the reboot.
Yo, who
And
won
the
these?
reboot's always difficult as well. It just attracts so
Yo, the
much
names are not
attention
actually
to you.
what
And look
the
at
names
this.
are, so,
Talk
like,
about
low-key
attention being
catches me
drawn.
off.
There's a team moving in
Unless this
hot
is
from the west
actually
side
light.
already now.
But, like,
Light and
Nuts-
Flex are on a timer. I mean, obviously we know Light's by himself. He's got to wrap this one up or Nuts got to fight back. But
and Nuts.
they can't.
I don't know who
It'll
Nuts
be the end
is.
for both of them. It's actually Penta and Power who are lurking up and in now.
Big advantage though for
Power's
Light.
coming in.
In terms of the solo players, he does have a lot of the
Power
HP
and
heal,
Penta.
but Power and Penta crouching, hiding,
my
but
God.
they
Light.
get a big Elim onto Light. A worthwhile Elim. Look at Power's inventory before and after. Now they're getting a bunch of materials, a bunch of extra heals, the splashes, and the Chug Jug. Even though they don't necessarily stacked out in terms of shockwaves, they came for what they wanted, and they got it, and now they're just continuing on with the rest of their game. Hopefully they can find a safe spot in zone, so this is actually worth it.
I'm just laughing.
Both
I'm thinking,
going
like,
up top.
put myself in Nuts' position where he's like, oh my
Both is
gosh. He
looking
just
at
stops moving. He's
except
got his pizza out.
Clutch.
He's like, bruh, please. And then they leave. So he gets really lucky. Bailed out.
Yo, Ace and
the
Jeff didn't
desperate
make it, so
spot
now
there.
he's at
And
the
you know
gym.
he's got the reboot card, so they
at the
will
gym
get
right
to
now.
continue their tournament life here. Acorn and Bolts, completely different situation here. Much more chill scenario on hand. Pretty much just camping the launch pads right now. with the zone on top of them. So nothing to worry about right now.
Got Venom and Carl.
This
Peter Bot and Polio.
They're
gonna fight, aren't they?
This is where they actually kind of land for the most part.
Oh,
they
maybe
have
not.
the slurp trucks that's there, the mending machine, and we saw Peter Bot
might not
farm up
fight.
a lot of his metal. Quick moment there where you said it yourself, looking dangerous with Curve and Veno rotating nearby. We saw the sheer amount of lurks throughout the first 2 games so far, using the mending machines as a distraction for teams, and that's how they picked up not only damage but eliminations. Probably seeing how far the zone is actually pulling towards the north, so instead of waiting, they probably realize they already have some good surge eliminations early, so they're trying to beat every other team to the punch.
40 above.
Just thinking they got spider senses like Curve and Veno reading the situation like, maybe not this team. Let's just go to this storm. It's going to be the best decision they make in this game, that's for sure. A clash for Peter Bot and Boyo when there's 700 above the surge is not the type of Peter Bot and Boyo you want to fight right now. Not in this game, not in this lobby. Love that we got to see a little glimpse of Osid's scarce position there.
Mako.
That sleeper duo that has been creeping up the standings
They're like
bit by bit.
The 48th, aren't they?
Mako and Blanks, though. Quite the rotate for them to make here.
Not
Carillion,
sold.
meanwhile. Whoa. Nice little knock out the sky there.
There goes
Someone's fired
enough teaming.
I'm always a what have you done for me lately type of guy, and honestly, in the short span that Jargu and Carillion have played together, Monster,
Carillion.
they have won 3 games
Carillion
in
lost his
set
teammate, though.
lobbies through their Heat, or
Not
through the
teammate,
last
but,
chance
the guy he
qualifier
knocked.
and the
But he
eval
just finished in, like, 4
finals. So even though
seconds.
right now they're sitting on 40 points, I wouldn't necessarily
Salt
be
goes
too
down.
worried. This team can pull out some insane moments and
does I
victories.
am
Just
enough.
unfortunate. They are contested at the far eastern side
Yo,
of the
I
map
am
going
enough
against
is,
Sniper
like,
Dude
top
and
12 right now.
Avenger. So not every game is going to be guaranteed. Just goes to show Carillion taking advantage of those little
Peter
opportunities
Bot
while you
and
can.
Polio.
Peter Bot and Pollo, they did clean up a few eliminations here. We saw one early, one in
Yep.
the feed.
Oh,
You see them
Pollo
rotating
gets-
away from
oh.
Tyler and Chance. Already up towards the zone, but they're going to where they think it is going to open up and give them a little bit more cushion in terms of spacing.
Nice little find right there to get the chug barrels. But I did want to say, 40 points is still in the race. Like, remember, the
got
real
Koopa.
winners are who's
Koopa
going to
Knight.
land, who's in top 13 when this is all said and done. So if you're 40 points, you're 60 points like Cooper and Ree. I mean, you're in the conversation right now. Your shoes are tied, You're on the track here. You got to respect it so far. But again, this is only game 3, right? We're about halfway through day 1.
Quarter of the game's already completed. You can kind of see Cooper, Reed, trying to see if anybody else is going to make a late rotation off the side of that mountain. They're ready and waiting for it to happen. QK and Khan, 57 below the damage threshold. Right now, it is going to be a 2-tick, but that's going to quickly switch on over to a 5-tick. So timing is of the essence to get in towards the zone. So they don't necessarily have to rush for the Storm Surge. QK does anyway. Not only gets the elimination, but puts them above the damage threshold. And it's usually when you're on that line, Monster, teams get desperate and they start to make mistakes. So glad to see them already answer the call.
Yeah, their timing couldn't have been better. Like, the zone pulls to their side. So many teams are exiting from the Wadki land, storm into the edge, kind of congested positioning there. And I want to update from Clicks and Higgs as well. Like, this is their drop, right? This is the dream scenario. You're in the lead point-wise. Then you get the whole zone to land on top of your POI when you normally play natural high ground. This is a crazy development happening in general right now for Game 3. Bolts and Acorn have invested a lot to get to the safety here. And look at this. Not a lot of heals to work with, so the pizza box comes out. This is obviously, I'd say, the best heal, right? Like, in the game right now, for sure. As far as quick heals are concerned.
Look at the background. Creon went down. Almost held my breath. Thought it was somebody else for a moment. Paper is going to be knocked as well. A couple of players left as solos in some big moments here. No bigger moment than this for Rezi. 348 below the damage threshold. Rezi literally put the team on his back just to get this spot in finals. 2 games gone already. 341. Quickly has to start to make a play. 15 players need to go down. He might have an opportunity to out-heal this monster. 2 pizza slices, 3 med kits. He does have a full chug jug as well. I just wouldn't necessarily advise it as a solo.
This is crazy because while we've been watching Rezi, just to his bottom left, you have Veno and Curve, and I saw Curve pick up 2 eliminations, by the way. So Rezi's trying to find opportunity, and then you have someone like Curve just lacing up the lobby, and all the chances that might have been his in his general vicinity. So it couldn't be worse for Rezi right now. For Clicks and Higgs, though, this is the update I wanted. 500 above. They have no worries in the world right now. In maximum material, what a clean rotate here. They're not quite safe just yet, but plenty of time to work with. No pressure right now for our position leaders for the most part.
This is where we could start to see an interesting end game. You see all the trees, Monster? You see every single one of those trees. Well, the thick ones, they have a huge amount of HP, and you can connect to them as well in this end game. And more of them as we go towards the south are going to be in play. So we're going to have teams that not only can contest the high ground, can hold on to it for longer than usual. Cold and Rapid try to make their way in, moving forward, almost running to Peterbot and Poyo as they're almost 1,000 damage above the threshold. Monster, this is one thing that you wanted to pay close attention to, and right now, from one game to the next, this is night and day here for Peterbot and Poyo.
Yeah, definitely. They're playing aggressive right now. It's almost as if they say, or are feeling like they need to earn a bunch of points if they want to stay competitive for first place. And they're playing like someone owes them something right now, big time. Meanwhile, Curve, though, as exceptional as he has been, he has lost Veno on the rotate here, so he's now left by himself. Meanwhile, you look to high ground, and look who it is. My, it's not a bird. It's Clicks, it's Higgs up top right now, getting positioned.
Just like in a couple of the other games, I stopped asking myself when I see certain players going up the high ground, is it too early? I think Clicks and Higgs have proved it's never too early for them to try to take that high ground, especially in a zone like this where you have all those trees that you can actually attach to maintain your position on height. But for now, Clicks and Higgs just continue to look down below, realize the zone is going to force players not only out of their boxes, but to shockwave from point A to point B, and that's going to be the best chances they get to beam people out of the sky. You see a good amount of damage landing on Cold before he gets to the front side of the zone.
You saw the hesitation there, just trying to see if Rapid was with him. Fortunately, ends up on a different layer there for a second, but reunited now. Looking to kind of reposition, refresh up. Up top, Clicks and Higgs have this juggernaut of a positioning over the rest of the lobby, connected to that big trunk of the tree there, and they're just so high up that no one's going to be able to contest them, I don't think.
Yeah,
so they might just be able to waltz their way into the end game. Muzz, Sphinx here fighting for what they can do right now. And they're starting to run out of material though, Jacob. This is getting really desperate for Muzz and Sphinx.
Yeah, but you can see Muzz just sliding through a couple of those closed boxes before he gets in zone. Clicks and Higgs continue to elevate themselves higher and higher because they know the shockwave with the Fizz, anybody can contest that high ground in a moment's notice. We've already seen it throughout 2 games so far as Peterbot peaks at the perfect time, finds another knock. Elimination going to be cleaned up elsewhere. Even Sphinx going down. Acorn cleans up another elimination. You're seeing threats going down in the corner. It just goes to show that these players that are on that mid layer are just bumping heads back and forth just to get inches in a game that seems a mile long.
Finally, Cold and Rapid get their first eliminations here in the end game. Bit uncharacteristic of them to not have a several set of elims right now, given how they like to play aggressively in these end games. But don't count them out just yet. Peterbot Boyo continue to turn up here as well. Living off the refreshes right now. They have Osid in sight. They take them down so quickly. You can run, but you can't hide. Boyo and Peterbot for the first time playing side by side in the end game. And what feels like the entirety of today. Visuals, Braids on the other side. Coming off that Victory Royale now. Still trying to maintain momentum here, but when you look to the high ground, not a soul has decided to contest Clicks and Higgs just yet.
Yeah, I don't think there's very many opportunities. The way they have it set up as well, that one's clean. Poyo almost gets blocked off away from Peterbot, but he's not letting go. He's not giving up on his teammates, saying there's a huge strength in numbers. We have to make it count. Cold gets another elimination as well. You said it. There are 4 eliminations here, and they're looking for a couple more. Top 14 situation. There are 5 solo players running around this lobby. Make it 6 as another one gets separated. And you notice still not a single person has even looked up or even built a single box higher, and that's because of Clicks and Higgs and constant pressure from above.
I'm just looking at Cold right now. He went for no elims to now 6 and a knock body down below. He needs that Siphon to turn online. like now if he wants to stay alive here. There goes the mini shields to keep him in the game. Meanwhile, Peterbot in the bottom right is by himself, trying to clutch this one up right now. It's been the Pollo solo show all week long, and now it's up to Peterbot to show us what he's got.
Yep, one shockwave left.
Can he show us what
is trying to pick
back
the perfect
in
moment to
2025?
strike. Using the Fizz
only
for
about
the
a year ago,
utility,
but
not
still.
necessarily the shield. Cold is finally gone down.
no,
Rapid
actually about a
stuck
year ago.
outside of the zone. Acorn trying to cut off the
Acorn goes
path
down.
of Braids, but Braids takes him down. These trades going back and forth. 8 teams remain, but that's making 7 teams remain, Monster. 9 players in this game. Almost everybody left alive is solos. Rapid probably feeling the pressure. Gets a huge elimination. Peterbot as well, but he's out of build. Huge flank on the one. Almost gets chance down before he gets demolished himself.
A sliver of HP and Peterbot would have had it and earned a little bit more,
Higgs is still alive.
but Clicks and Higgs are here on the high ground. They're looking to get another victory royale here and now. They want it more than everyone else. Rapid to solo. He gets finished up. Higgs.
Now, I told you that you would be shocked. Now, remember, after game 2, we're like, Clicks and Higgs should be in first place, right? Well, you know what's crazy? They are kind of in first place right now. Let's bring up the standings, but interestingly enough, Kelly, we are actually tied currently because Cold and Rapid decided, you know what we're going to do in this last game? We're going to get a second place with 11 eliminations. And here we are. Scores are tied.
I mean, Vivid, you're asking how, but between 9 and 20 eliminations, that right there is a 44-point difference. And if we look at their average placement, yes, Clicks and Higgs do have a 2.33 average placement, but Cold and Rapid are right behind them with a 5.67 average placement. So we talked about it. We're gonna talk about it again, that it doesn't just need one facet of your game to do well. You can't just grab a bunch of eliminations, or you can't just grab a bunch of wins. You have to be able to do both, and that is what Cold and Rapid are doing. They're making sure that they're making it to the end game every single time. For some reason, someone's giving them the mythic reloader, and this is what is allowing them to just have so much damage and so much control on the low ground that the teams that are on high ground, like Clicks, is not even able to get any eliminations.
Ew. Oh my gosh,
Disgusting.
Rapid fending off, winning the 1v2 there on low gun. I didn't even catch that. But as you can see there, when we actually tuned into Rapid, when that solo clutch started, they were on 180 points when Cold went down. So Rapid himself, just being a solo in the end game, picking up 1v2s like that, picked up 30 points to put them on 210. So an incredible performance right there from Rapid to kind of keep them at the top of the leaderboard.
And that was the game that we were calling out for, right? Like right before this game, we were saying, we're kind of waiting for that big pop-off Cold and Rapid game, and they just had it, right? And it's enough to go ahead and tie up first. We have a competition on our hands that is so crazy. Man, even Agers and Ritual right now holding on. And I think what's crazy too, if you look in 5th place, Peterbot and Pollo, right? We've kind of continued to see Pete and Pollo get in the situation where one of them is left solo. But even in these tough situations
on the mid ground right now, and that's kind of putting them into these a little bit of rough positions because they're being so aggressive, because they're looking around at all these different angles on the mid ground. They're getting kind of chopped out. They're getting pulled out so that they're ending up being a solo over and over again. And although it is Peterbot, and if anyone can run a solo game, it's going to be him. Eventually, you are going to need to be a full duo going into the end game right now. And I think that is just the slight issue that we're having with Peterbot and Pollo. But I say that, and if you look historically, Peterbot and Pollo are a day 2 team. They're already climbing up the leaderboard. So although they might not be having the first 3 games that they want, it is definitely not the end for this duo.
Yeah, I think the larger theme here of the fact that still towards the top of our leaderboard, even like the top 10, it still feels like an incredibly close competition, even though we just had, over the course of 3 games, a team win 2 of those games. So crazy stuff kind of happening over here on NA. Every single team, every one of our top teams is picking up points some way, somehow. And
Bucky just low-key D-lights him.
Oh my gosh, dude. Viv, talk to me about the damage numbers right now. You looked up a stat. Cool. I love you're the stat guy. Hit me with these stats right now.
No, let's not talk about the chocolate cake incident.
Over the course of the first 3 games, this is how our damage ratios are kind of breaking down. Clicks and Higgs individually both find themselves in 1st and 2nd place, which I just think is crazy because going into game number 3 right here, it kind of panned out like this as well. Like Clicks was up there like 5+. So I was like, oh my gosh, I want to take a look at the damage ratio after game 3. Got better. His damage ratio increased somehow after game number 3. And if you remember how game number 1 and game number 2 kind of panned out, how many people were going up for high ground, how many people were fighting them for it, and they still had like these incredibly positive damage ratios. And again, game number 3, that one, yeah, it's kind of justifiable because
they're gonna have a bounty
on
on the
nobody
back.
looked
They got
up
a
towards high ground, so it
back-to-back
makes sense that they didn't really take that much
He
damage. But
might land on
those
him.
guys are
No, I
playing
don't see that actually happening.
super good.
That's just wild to me because we would talk
But what I
so
do see is
highly
happening,
of
though, is
Cole
if
back when he would get like a 3.0
clicks,
damage ratio.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
almost
people
unheard
out
of.
of,
And
like,
yes, we
the
are
way
only
of
halfway
winning
through.
it,
I'm
and
sure
clicks
those numbers are going
has
to
a
be
chance. I
adjusted
feel
as
like
the
I'm gonna
tournament
see-
goes
I feel
on.
like we're gonna
But
see people land on
absolutely
clicks.
incredible showing from Clicks.
Yeah, and I think if we could just get nitpicky for like a second, right? And this is kind of like we're
gosh.
kind of like talking about this a little bit before break, but yes, we love that they're getting the victorials, right? But we're not hitting those like elim thresholds that we need to be seeing, right? That's why Cold and Rapid suddenly shoot up the standings, right? Because remember, we had that extra point, Kelly, and it doesn't sound like a lot. One more point, okay, big deal. But these elims, they will very quickly stack up, especially if you hit double digits.
Yeah.
I mean, when you consider 1 point is, I said 25% before last time, I was wrong. 33% increase is a huge stat increase for any number. And of course, when it's eliminations, when there are teams that focus on eliminations, having you just eventually just go up to them and be like, hey, that tournament that you just did, let's give you 33% more points for your eliminations. And if you look at some of these Div Cup finals, if you have it in the format for grand finals where it's 4 points per elimination, it would be very different teams in the top of our leaderboard.
Yeah, true that.
Yeah. Zeke's greedy, man. He wants more. He's like, yeah, looks like I got 2 wins. I want elims. Like 2.
Don't, why are you putting my, you know what, Casters, help. Just take it away.
Yeah, I want to give credit to Clicks and Higgs. I think what we're watching is the best team as far as positioning and decision making going against the best team at eliminating
Where's
and running things on the
OCE
low and
happening?
mid ground right now. And again, it's only 3 games in, right, Jacobs? But the identity is starting to take shape for these duos.
Yeah, it just almost seems, especially for like Clicks and Higgs, is they are going to win this major one or lose this major one for something they did or didn't do in their own right. They have full control over their own destiny here. A little bit of a passive game plan here. That's how they've been able to get 2 victorials, Monster, and they're tied for first place. I don't want to cause any curses, but could this be the major? We're already done with half of day number 1.
Is a good 4 games to be very much in a race to contest a championship weekend. And we are already 3 down. Well, one thing's for certain though, Jacob, no one's playing
Yeah, I'm
super
low-key
perfect
tired.
just yet, right? Every duo so far
Pen
has
is finally
a little
in,
bit
yeah.
more to be desired in one area or another.
Did Pen get the?
I was gonna say Sniper Dude and Avenger reaching on over to this side of the map to try to take on Jack and Npen. Avenger and Sniper Dude, they were landing on the eastern side of the map, almost triple contesting their drop. I thought they were maybe gonna make their way on over towards Wonky Land because that is where they have been playing time in and time out, whether if it's a divisional cup or the actual finals lobbies. They're trying to switch things up more so in their favor. Paper and Resi. Split drop here. You can see the 2 differences. Top of the mountain, inside of the house. And Teeks already getting a good amount of damage onto Paper as he tries to make his way down.
Yeah, great amount of damage
Yeah,
right
they had to back
there
up.
being secured. Resi just opting to back up and get to the usual
out.
plan here for the loots.
Secky's out.
Opponents back off as well.
Thanks.
Anyway, Clicks, Higgs on the other side. Still, so far, no team has decided to give them any friction just yet. Everyone's somewhat sticking to their strategy, sticking to the game plan, if you will. Just a quick highlight, though. We're at the Sanctuary. Nice little elim here for Sinwatch.
Got Chimp over here on this side of the map. This side of the map is just so stacked. Even if you're uncontested, it's never easy to make your way on out. Chimp sees a battle in the distance, easily third parties in for a good amount of damage, forcing Ruins to go down low. Catman getting knocked all together. The team actually officially eliminated thanks to more than one team looking on over in this direction. It's not slowing down either. Zypta, Void making their way on over, hearing some of the noise, and they're just trying to figure out what is it all about.
I was going to say, remember, Zypta and Void were just putting some shots onto Paper and Resi there, so interesting to see how many teams are willing to quickly rotate towards the Sanctuary to get in on the action here. In the end, though, everything seems to settle down now, Jacob.
Ooh,
What's
whole
this?
different approach. You know, they must have been listening to the stream. Zeke was like, I want elims. Kelly's saying 4 points per. We could probably see a different leaderboard if that's how it's going to be. Clicks and Higgs say, you know what? Things have been decided by less than 1 elimination. The majors have proven the last 3 all last year, Monster, were all decided by either 4 or less eliminations, proving that it could be the difference maker here, even with 2 wins, tied in first place with Cold and Rapid, who, guess what, Monster, have been picking up eliminations. So Clicks and Higgs trying to take a page out of their own playbook here, trying to go aggressive for the north side of the map instead of just sitting at Wonky Land and letting teams and damage pass you by.
I like it. It seems like this game, they had a bit of a different strategy. Obviously, early game fight's super important, but more importantly is they recognize, hey, the zone's right on top of us. So they kind of pull this card out of the books there.
Yo,
Let's
why am I
see it
so
back on over to
tired,
Venno
Jack?
and Curve. Also staying relatively dynamic. No lurk plays for this one. This is another just full-on clash happening here in front of us.
Yo, I don't know if we're gonna be doing any
Great tag so far. Curve thinking
Only
about
once
going in
tonight,
for the
Jack.
shockwave there for a second.
I'm looking tired.
Ooh, those are some big tags. Wouldn't be surprised if now's the time.
Yeah, I was about to say, now it's Shockwave. Shockwave, just thinking in my head, Curve does exactly that. Shockwave's over. Close the distance, reunites with Venno, trying to take 2 different approaches. Electro just trying to hold him off, but the persistence is there, not only from one, but both of these players. But Venno goes down. He enters into the box, 2v1. Electro and Ult get that elimination. Curve with no shield, honestly 55 HP, almost 1 shot away from going down. You know they're going to be on the chase.
They're coming in quick. Tyler and Chance are moving in fast as well here. Curve, though, doesn't get caught out by the visual audio cue there while he was eating pizzas. Lucky for him. And look, he actually had to ditch what was left of the box just to stay low here. Take a look, though. We haven't seen Venno lose a fight like this here. Not today. He's been winning these for the most part, but Electro just connects with some big tags there.
Right before we went into the replay, Monster, I saw them stealing his pizza. Curve, man, how can you let them do that? But hey, sometimes you just gotta let them run away with it, or at least think they can, so that way you can hopefully get Venno back into the game. Consistency is definitely going to be key throughout the weekend. Yes, we do have our top 2, but you see a little bit of a gap start to open up from 3rd and down, and honestly, that's going to continue to be the case here for top 13 overall is what's going to make it to the Summit land. So you see not just first place FNCS, not just the mountains of prize money, but just to keep your journey to globals alive.
You know, we were all curious on how Rituals and Aegis Storm Surge strategy was going to work out in the early game. So far, we haven't quite seen their definitive route, but we are seeing a little sample of it. Aegis just playing that high ground right now, looking to tag any teams in the general area who are boxing and or rotating around, and they seem to be playing their drop very deep into the storm, and so far it's working for them, right? As they're finding themselves in the top 5. Peterbot, Boyo, different strat for them now. Playing the big base here as well. Last game, they were pretty much boots on the ground, keying into boxes and teams anywhere in the vicinity.
I don't even know.
But for all we know, Peterbot is looking to call a target out.
You know, there was a time a few months ago, before FNCS Divisional Cups even started, and Peterbot was kind of taking a little bit of a break. Players were looking at Clicks and Higgs saying they are the team to beat. Higgs is the best player in the game right now. Everybody was saying it's off season, it doesn't matter, Peterbot's not trying. Guess what? Divisional Cups roll around, the same type of conversation continues to start up, and guess what? Peterbot shows up, he shuts down the talk. But now that FNCS is actually here, we got Clicks and Higgs proving that, hey, maybe teams were calling it a little early, but they could be right with the way they've been playing so far. But you have to watch out. Not only those 2 teams I mentioned, but Cold and Rapid as well. Rapid has been on an insane hot streak to start the year. He's even had a 2nd place in years prior with Higgs in a different tournament. So he has right now a good as chance as anybody else to probably win this tournament.
It's crazy when you think reputation. To have a reputation like Codes where it's like, don't worry, he's going to show up and do what he needs to do is actually just incredible. He is doing it so far here today. Again, we're only 3 games in. It would be silly of us to call it, right? There's a lot of Fortnite ahead of us, and I'm sure we're going to see tons of adjustments, especially
Yo,
not only for the last two
game
games,
4,
but
we still
leaning
got
into
12.
tomorrow. Who's
We
going to
got
pick
12
up their
games. Oh my gosh.
replays
yo,
and
I'm
come
gonna
up with
be
some
dead
new
by
strategies?
game
We will,
12.
of course, have to see that. Visual and Braids continuing somewhat of the pace, if you will, right? Game 1 was a victory. Obviously, the last
Yep.
2, not quite so, but they've still managed to stay very much in the
They didn't do so
competition
hot
so
second
far.
game.
They're looking like a shoo-in potentially for the land spot.
Yeah, I think that's one of the benefits of their drop spot here. A little bit of a split drop just
Jacob.
outside of Dark Dominion. You see the
Jacob,
Fun Factory, the
like,
Carmine
there.
Lodge. It's kind of the split in between the
Big
two.
side.
No
Big
matter
side.
where the zone actually pulls, they set up on that mountain because whether it pulls north, south, east, or west, chances are teams are going to have to rotate through them, or at least the paths where they can get shots. And we tune into Curve, still
That's crazy,
forced
by the way.
to lurk around. They are just waiting for him there. Even when you can buy reboot cards, Curve is just left with very few choices here. As Avenger and Sniper Dude, I talk about them possibly making their return to Wonky Land. It wasn't at the start of this game, but they're still making their presence known over here.
Higgs clicks already looking to secure some eliminations right now. Again, nothing has come of it just yet. There's a team there. Obviously, Higgs is eyeing them up. I'm pretty sure they recognize there's that duo behind that wall there. Flix, though, has a lot to be desired when it comes to the overall loadout just so far. That material count looking a bit light. Comes the big super pad setup right now for Acorn and Bolts. They're playing this rotate through the dead side of the storm. They actually want to opt to stay in the storm. You can see the marker coming out there.
Yeah, and because we saw what Flix and Higgs, Sniper Dude, Avenger, even saw Cole and Madden all converging over towards Wonky Land. This is going to make it essentially a free rotation towards the western edge of the map. All the teams that could land those shots are already busy, focused on entirely something else. Just trying to stay alive, trying to get surge, so we should see Acorn and Bolts in a good position this game around. And better late than never in the second half of the day, trying to play catch up to what's been going on around you throughout the game so far. Listen and Aloe, same thing so far, 16 points. Half of those coming in this game alone, contested towards the new Sanctuary. They're able to pick up those 2 eliminations, and sometimes you just need a big moment like that to get things going.
As we're watching this, I'm still thinking about Curve, who was sitting at the reboot card while Electro and company were just lurking, holding it down. Talk about that team. You can see in the distance here, Threats actually putting down some shots onto them as they thought they were slick hiding out there. And for Threats and Veer, they might have just saved Veno's tournament here if that distraction's enough for Electro and crew to have to make a move.
Still relatively early, 1 tick, storm damage, plenty of time to decide. See, listen, Aloe rotating on over towards Sus Studios, one of the last teams. Say from this side of the map, you still do got a couple more over towards New Sanctuary, but they're just kind of making a pit stop here, healing up before they make their rotation on out. And you see the zip line, they're not necessarily going to carry that into the end of the game. They're just going to use it for right now. That way they can make this rotation just a little bit easier. As Penta spots an opportunity in the distance, he immediately goes after it.
This is crazy. Curve is actually 300 damage above the surge somehow. Still as a solo. It looks like he might have been putting up a strong defense against Zyfta there for a second. And now contemplating if it's time to go for the reboot. But of course, he's going to make a quick pit stop here for the machine. See if he can pick up some heals to go in and sustain himself here in the storm. I mean, odds. What do you think the odds are looking like right now for Curve here?
I believe in Curve. I believe in Curve. I think he's the new era when it comes to NA Central. He's had some big moments in the past, even before teaming with Veno. It's just Neo. It's just lurking around. You see Noisy, you see Listen, you see Aloe. And so, yeah, you might think they have to go to zone, but for Curve, he's still being hunted down. Look at it in the mini-map. They might have spotted him out. You hear the shockwaves going off. First shot's going to connect on the Curve. The second one as well. Less than 5 HP. Time is not on his side to get the medkits off. Neo and Noisy. I'm not sure where they got a glimpse of Curve, but they really made that little moment count.
Yeah, Curve needed to just overbuild right there. Get a couple splashes out and try to survive. But unfortunately, he couldn't put up the offense needed. And they fall in 10th. Positioning now. That's going to be a really tough one to deal with now as we're in game 4, so we're getting deep into the tournament day 1 here. Rapid on the other hand,
hopefully day 2,
just kind of healing up right now. Still haven't secured any new points here. Nothing fresh earned
Yo, Epic, thanks for the follow.
I think that's the difference between Cold and Rapid and some of the other teams is they not only get all the gold, they don't necessarily wait to access the vending machine. They buy their med kits early, so it's much safer for them to sit up there and wait the storm out before they start to rotate in. See, Agers, Ritual, decent loadout, having to rotate. Jargu and Carillion, 1 elimination so far, 600 damage above the threshold. Things can definitely change on course of this rotation. You see them rotating right behind Agers and Ritual. They make a quick peek, try to get some damage. Don't really find too much success, but at least they keep themselves moving.
Sphinx dropped here on this moving zone right now. Muzz is getting chased here. They're looking to try to finish this one up. It might not have been their Elim, but they definitely had influence in it. You can see the loot just sitting here as the lobby all kind of focusing in here and now. Boyo and Peterbot do have to be careful, though, not to end up like game 2, fully focused by the remaining lobby. And Muzz barely skates out of there. But, you know, I wanted to say one thing about Cold and Rapid. Last game, they had no Elims going into that endgame, and then all of a sudden they just took off, rocketing their way straight up. So that is going to be where they shine the most so far. This game is looking exactly like that. Meanwhile, Agers and Ritual, though, Jacob here, are 50 damage below right now.
Yeah, first thing that popped in my mind as we tune in, uh-oh. Not where I expected this team to be going into FNCS. Constant struggles here at 4 Sturge, below the threshold for sure. Depending on where the next zone goes, they might have to go up the side of the mountain, but they see solo players trying to work their way in. They do land a couple of shots, but I was going to say not necessarily enough to get above, but they do jump 65 damage above that threshold. Not enough to continue to hold that confidence, but for now it's them grabbing a breath of fresh air, letting the lobby kind of settle. They have almost a max pull just like a few other teams, so they're just trying to pinpoint where they're going to start using those shockwaves to make it in.
So a little glimpse of CDZ and Raven still in the game right now. This is their first mid-game that we've seen them develop in. The eyes are on Muzz right now. 40 damage above, no Sphinx in sight. Still have at least earned themselves a single Elim this game, so it's not a 0-point game. It's a big shockwave here, though. He's got to find himself in a position to actually take a fight or something. But no, look at this. Clicks and Higgs. Higgs is down. Clicks, no heals. Barely anything else to work with. He's got the damage, but he needs a siphon. Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh. I'm watching Muzz kind of go crazy as we tune in. Higgs is already down. You can see Clicks in his struggle here. He's already picked up the elimination. No, he does not make it over in time. Higgs goes down. That kind of leaves a lot of pressure onto Clicks. Top 34 monster. Placement points have yet to set in, so this is only a 4-point game so far for Clicks in that one elimination. You see he's looking for more opportunities. No shield, no HP, not even a shockwave to boost himself forward, so he has to burn through his materials before he's eventually taken down. The back-to-back will not be a back-to-back-to-back.
Yeah, and that was crazy for him to get the siphon right there, kind of stay in the game. It was looking like there was hope for a moment, but it's just not going to be enough. So down goes Clicks very early in this game before the positioning gets to get rewarded for the rest of the lobby. Cold and Rapid have a chance now to break away. Everyone else inside the top 10 has a chance now to jump up. Peterbot, Boyo need to take advantage of this opportunity. Muzz still holding on. Hey, don't count him out. He's in roughly top 6th or 7th there himself.
This is going to be a big moment right here. Peterbot, Boyo just gearing up, ready, and I was just kind of thinking with Clicks and Higgs down, it's not only Cold and Rapid in which you were talking about, it's Agers and Ritual as well. It's about a 50-point gap between that first and second place tie, and Agers and Ritual are sitting in 3rd place. And so with only a 4-point game for Clicks and Higgs, they're definitely going to try to close that gap, hopefully try to take that top 2 spot after this game. Acorn and Bolts, a couple of speed bumps in their journey so far, but they're looking like here in the second half of the day, they finally figured out how to make things work, rotating underneath the bridge, but you can see not a lot of material or resources left on the Agers.
This is what they do best, though, finding eliminations right now. These big, pivotal moments here where placement points and elims are going to start propelling you up the standings. Cold and Rapid at the front side of zone, nothing to worry about right now. They're going to surely be breaking away here if they keep getting this amount of runway to work with. Cold shockwaves deep into the storm there. It was worth it. He picks up a bunch of extra heals, material, and everything else now. So Rapid and Cold, like we said, just at the start of this, have proven to be the strongest low ground team so far here in the lobby, and they're not switching up the strategy at all right now.
Yeah, they get the front side of the zone and immediately return back, starting to build up, giving them time to work with. Even with Acorn and Bolts trying to go ahead and shockwave over, they have a little bit of elevation advantage. Acorn and Bolts going to be stuck underneath. Quick couple of shots going to fire off in their direction. They're going to hold their position. 336 though, above the damage threshold. No real reason to peek, but they're just trying to build that cushion. 4 players go down. Storm Surge no longer in this game. And for Agers, it's not necessarily Storm Surge he has to worry about. It's the lack of HP. It's the 0 builds. He needs a miracle here.
Yeah, and I still saw Muzz playing solo as well right now, but look at this. Talk about solos. Pollo is by himself in this end game right now. So close to making it out of the edge of zone. He is going to make it. Could find elimination here potentially, but no, not enough shots inside the magazine there. Still though, does need to splash himself here. Goes for the material first and gets shot while going for it. That little bit of shield being the difference maker to keep him in the game right now. He knows there's danger ahead of him. Forcing himself to build right now. Use the shockwave to give himself that unlimited stamina here now too. Agers falls on the left. Boya falls shortly behind him. In the runway, the opportunity to catch up comes to a close there, and things remain competitive now on the standings. Meanwhile, Bolts and Acorn get off the low ground into the high ground here now.
Good chance for Bolts and Acorn to play a little catch-up. Coming into this game, Monster, they were at 9th place, 126 points. No Clicks and Higgs in this lobby. For the past couple of games, it's been them going for high ground, which opens up an opportunity for anybody else if they're daring enough to take it. Reet and Cooper almost picking up an elimination. You can see the desperation in their materials, almost fresh out, and you see Reet going down, just kind of leaves Cooper by himself, trying to hide in that mist, make sure no one could see him, maybe pop off a big shot while he can. Cold and Rapid, though, this is their chance to extend their lead in first place. They were tied up when this game started. Now they're almost at 250 plus points.
Big pressure coming in from Acorn up above. That's almost the decision maker to send Cold back to the lobby, but the pressure's coming in. They see the mist as well, so that's why the shots are focusing in on them. And Bolts and Acorn are recognizing this is their immediate competition right here. This is the threat in the lobby. Who's daring to hold the second height? That's the team they want to send back. Great tracking so far. As now we get to see Braids and Visuals in the bottom right. So far, so good for them. They are slowly creeping their way back up the standings here. From that game 1 victory royale to a strong game 4 right here. They're positioned very well. They're just a couple elims away from being inside the top 3 now. Meanwhile, Jacob, look at this. Cooper is by himself here.
Yep, global champion here, forced into another clutch situation. Good damage, unfortunately enough, not enough to get the elimination. Would have been helpful for the Siphon. Wager Slepsy getting approached. They're forced to scramble outside of the box. They go 2 different directions, though, so they don't necessarily have the strength in numbers anymore. Slepsy gets tagged up. Wagers goes down. Into the wrong box he goes, and what a perfect elimination for Cold. Only thing he was missing there was the HP, and now he picks up the Siphon, looking for more. Slepsy in his path, along with Veer. They get good damage. No eliminations just yet, but they're staying persistent, making sure to push them further and further outside of the zone.
The problem, if you were hoping Cold and Rapid were going to fall early, well, guess what? They made it deep into the top 10 now. Rapid is going to fall here, but Cold follows up. Clutches get the full elimination there too, and the Siphon keeps him in the game. Meanwhile, back to Acorn's perspective, just 30 mats now. That's not a winning amount of material just yet, so don't count them just in. But hold up, I'm still seeing Visuals alive. I'm seeing a lot of solos here, Jacob. This is not looking too hot for the low ground teams.
Yeah, unfortunately, Visuals' run comes to an end here. Madden goes down. Cole is still left alive, though. It's essentially solos versus duos up above. Veer and Cole down below. Their clash, and Bolts is ready to steal away the eliminations. Remember, 4 points per. Those eliminations could be the difference, but Cole is able to get the elimination onto Veer. That's 4 more points for them, but he's in a tough situation against Acorn, against Bolts, front side of the zone. Medkit just in case, and they're ready to chop it down. No instant retakes for you as Cole is just trying to make a mad dash. His only chance to make it in towards the zone. He gets coned off again, and that opportunity goes out the window. Acorn and Bolts have finally woken up here in the second half of the day to take the VR.
And if you was looking at the standings, you wouldn't have even thought they were in the race at 128 coming into this game. Acorn and Bolts do it in game number 4 there, Zeke.
You see, MDF? You see it all. Every time you think like, oh, it's all good, like it just takes one game, a single game. And we knew going into that game that 210 was tied at first. They end with 2-11, so we know they're probably going to be in the top 5, if not even higher up the leaderboard. Oh my gosh, Acorn and Bolts, let's go. Like the casters point out, they are alive. Guys, this is a live situation. Everything is going crazy.
It is going quite crazy right now, but I do love to see Acorn and Bolts, as we heard Jacob say, finally wake up right now. And it did seem like in that game, a lot of our top teams were struggling a little bit, potentially going down. So that top 5, as you're saying, Zeke, it's quite possible, Vivid.
Crazy stuff. Obviously, we did see, unfortunately, a couple of our top teams, those that are typically found on.
Finishes off the elimination there onto Electro. Now it's going to be a 2v1 situation that does not last long. This is Venom and Kurt. This is their get back from that last game.
That puts them at 3 eliminations right now. A very strong start here. Again, elims are rewarded so much more in the current format. You love to see it. Back with Higgs and Clicks, man. This is tough, right? Because now they have to make up for the lead that they lost, and they pretty much handed up on a platter to Cold and Rapid there in the last game.
They've been blessed the past couple of games. Zone going in their favor, up towards the north, close by Wonky Land. So see how they handle the pressure if the zone pulls away in the last 2 games. Maybe they can actually utilize the wheel to try to rotate in. But at least they don't have a first place target on their back like Cold and Rapid might. Center of the map is Reet and Cooper. You can see them straying away from Latte Landing, doing what some of the other teams are doing. One person is kind of on a hill, trying to distract, shots from the distance, while Cooper is just trying to walk up, hide the audio visual, and get a sneaky shot. Yes, it's going to be the Thunderburst onto QK. No knock just yet, but that in its own mind is a little bit of a success for Cooper and Reet.
Oh, for sure. Mistakes were made from QK, leaving a sidewall open there, allowing them to just get free tags there. He didn't even realize where the shots were coming from for a second there. Saw the hesitation on the builds. QK, Contract have also earned a fair amount of points, right? These are all teams that can still jump their way into top 13. Back on over to Cold right now, who clearly is in top form here. And they're just ahead of the pack by over 50 points right now. Really respectable tournament run so far. Jack and Npen, though, not looking too hot. We're started off super strong for them, earning some points now. Npen, though, lost in the exchange outside of the Latte Landing. Madden and Cole are going to come out ahead there. Jack is forced to retreat, and he's going straight into Reed's team, so he does have to be careful.
Yeah, maybe he just doesn't have the timing there. For Reet and Cooper, who've almost done something different every single game so far in terms of how they've been rotating into some of these zones, so it's easy to catch a couple teams off guard. Onboard visuals and braids talk about sticking to what works. 250 points, sitting in second place. This split drop outside of Dark Dominion. Just like I said in one of the previous games, no matter where the zone goes, they're more than likely going to be center map on top of a hill. So it gives them the luxury to kind of sit here. Yes, they might have to tank some storm damage, but every team in this game rotating in from the east, rotating from the south, will have to pass by visual and raid, which gives them at least an opportunity to start accumulating that damage.
Better now than later. For Bolts, Acorn, back to the high ground they go. This is their trusty strat. Again, they started off pretty slow, right? We were looking at them like, okay, so decent game 1, and then things kind of fall off pace, but you have that monstrous comeback all of a sudden now. They are up in that 200-point threshold. And look at this. They got eyes on Clicks and Higgs from up top. You would think that'd be out of render distance, but they could just barely pick up the names there. Meanwhile, Peterbot doing the same thing, has Spoyo down low. He's kind of playing the base here. He's continued to do this as well, being the sniper in the tower for the duo.
Some of the best aim in the game. You kind of see why I connect with 2 tags there, 40 damage. It all adds up over time. Some extra heals not too far away, and then the mending machine down below. And with the zone pulling in their favor, Monster for Peterbot and Poyo, they have options to rotate. They can shockwave, they can walk it in, or simply hit that rift that's not too far off next to them. They're going to have kind of pick of the litter, essentially, about where they actually want to end up after this next zone.
Backing over Threats and Veers. Highlight here. Catching a free Elim onto Muss out the sky there. Liquid in the distance, too. Meanwhile, Minish Javi here, based out, camped out right now. 152 points so far, on pace to send themselves to another LAN event here. For Javi, it'd be his first. Exciting times. But look at this, Jacob. Threats and Veer just trying to finish what they started over here.
Rightfully so. You know, you get that one elimination. Yeah, you can rotate the zone, let him reboot. Maybe you can go ahead and try to attack that later. They just don't want to get beamed for free trying to rotate on out. They create some distance. Now they start using the shockwave, so Threats and Veer continue on the rest of their game, which gives hope for Liquid to try to get his teammate back in. Hopefully they have some gold. There is a free mending machine or some scraps all around they can try to access. Only time will tell, though, how well they're able to make this game count with only 2 points. Curvin.
Look at their elims.
What?
What's going on?
Okay, so we got Electro Oak. Maybe Tyler Chance. They got a little. What? I'm not gonna say what went wrong, but like what went right for Venno and Curve since the last time we saw them. And honestly, depending on how much damage they take, they might not have to worry about Surge for the rest of this game.
Yeah, that's crazy. 6 eliminations. Obviously, I'm more impressed by the amount of points they've managed to earn after coming up short last game. So they're on their way back up to the top. Meanwhile, QK Contrap just a sleeper duo so far as you know how well they've been able to play for what it's worth, right? This is their first time in this level of competition going against this level of competition, and they seem to be holding their weight just fine.
I like them not overstaying their welcome, knowing they're going to have to rotate on out. I wouldn't say the farthest pull by any means, but it is going to start getting more and more drastic as more and more teams crowd that edge up the zone. You already see a few in their path, so I don't think they're going to be leaving the zone itself anytime soon, maybe rotating towards the north. You see another team in the mini-map towards the outskirts trying to do just that. Maybe trying to utilize the Latte landing launch pad, but that one's still locked down by Reet and Cooper on this side of the map. Even with them having rotated in just yet, it's almost no worry when they finally make that play.
Cooper, Reet have the nice high ground here as well, but the zone is already pushing them out. I was going to say, really not many opportunities to find teams either. You can see the remnants of other bases and whatnot. They were probably hoping to see a little bit more activity rotating through here, but might just be a wrong decision for them. Meanwhile, Carillion and Jargo set up the ambush here. Find Aloe rotating behind what looked to be an abandoned base, but no, sir. Had this duo still sitting in it.
I'm trying to think, like, Jargo hasn't healed yet. It almost seemed like they had some extras there to try to get the HP back on up. But timing sometimes of the essence. Beating other teams to a rotation is going to be important to jump back on board Khan and QK. 243 below the damage threshold. You're going to see why they're getting aggressive in this moment outside of zone. It's Listen on the other side. Even if they get the full damage from Listen, there's a chance they're still below the damage threshold here. So depending on how long this fight continues to go, how much Listen actually heals, they're still going to be in a tough spot. But at least they're trying to take it while they can. Continue to close off any exits, take control of the pieces, spotted out Listen again, and instantly going right to the top of those builds. First and second shot is going to connect for Khan, but as I said, still below the damage threshold.
Yeah, nice clean elimination there, but they definitely need more damage here. Carillion in the distance there, kind of listening to the fight go down. Meanwhile, Muzz and Sphinx have built their own additional layer straight across the fortress's edge. This is the first time we've seen an endgame position up here, and look at this. It's going to pull right on top of them for the 50-50. It's a perfect spot to be in. 244 above, not too bad. I think they'll be probably just fine, so long as they don't do anything too rash here. This is actually a really good spot for Sphinx and Muzz to be in.
Gold is doing.
Especially rotating in early on towards their west. There is going to be the rift. It's out of zone for now, but depending on where the zone continues to pull, you can see a rift in the end game, creating some unique strategies. We go on over to Clicks and Higgs. You see them chopping their tower out just so they can do the long one. You see them attaching on over. They're going to glide their way in. Peterbot and Poyo waiting for the moment to try to get some tags out of the sky. And then they can easily just mimic that same rotation. Choice is definitely theirs because they can go ahead and do it on foot as well. But for now, it just seems like they want to make the fast and easy glide into the zone.
Yeah, definitely. But lucky for Clicks and Higgs, the way they set it up, it sends them so far up. They do end up getting out of that render distance there. Peterbot Boyo now are going to send themselves straight into the new zone. We'll see where they end up landing. The fact that they're on this same kind of warpath here means they might just end up colliding here shortly. Keep close tabs on them. Jumping in with Encrypted and H-Cube again. Another team we haven't quite got to see much of their journey. However, they have been very much competitive here on the standings. 138 points here is nothing to be upset about this late into the tournament here. Game 5 right now is in front of us. 98 below though, Jacob. They're hoping to find teams rotating out from outside the zone, but there's no one in sight. They are quite literally the last ones on the edge here.
And this is where the mind games start to play, because you saw the leaderboard when it pops up. They are the line in terms of top 13 going to the Major 1 Summit. They are the team currently to beat. So going down here, especially with one game left and a whole day tomorrow, leave you with a bunch of regrets in the back of your mind. See multiple teams rotating in. Yep, Peterbot Boyo below the damage threshold monster.
Yeah, I saw that lightning come down as soon as we were panning over. 42 below now. A couple tags get put in there, but Peterbot and Boyo have a lot to deal with right now. Pressure's on, not only for them not being as comfortable as they normally are this late into a tournament run, but also now having to deal with the surge. Already though, you saw there, Clicks Higgs to the south, other teams in between them. Great tags here putting onto the solo player in front of him. Power has to deal with that too. He doesn't get a shot off though, so it's going to be pure positive for them. But tags coming in from top. Someone might have jumped into the box. I thought for a second there. Even Peterbot shot his own teammate, not sure of what was going on. And the surge is just a lot to deal with now. Here comes another lobby focus. But luckily, they get just enough here onto Raven and CDZ to keep them above the surge. It's not for long though.
Yeah, it's like a miracle right now, one after the next. You don't necessarily hear that someone's taking these ticks of Storm Surge Monster, but you hear the shields getting cracked when it does that much damage. I think teams all around them getting a huge signal here of what's going down. They're just trying to take part, make their jobs that much harder here in terms of survival, but they're constantly on the lookout. Peterbot Boyo connect with a few shots, yes, barely above 29. They're going to increase that just a little bit, 69 above the damage threshold. It's not a feeling of safety here, but for them, exactly that. We're going into the next zone. It's a moment of fresh air, but instantly the wind gets sucked out of their lungs here as they fall 60 below yet again.
Well, for a team like this, that's all you need, right? Just a little moment here, and they do have some heals to work with, but the clock is ticking. 30 seconds remaining. Duo's right up above them. Into the box, Boyo goes. He hits one monster's tag, gets the knock, and Peterbot's here to back him up. The zone does the rest, and just like that, 2 more elims, and they are safe for now. Big heals to be found as well. Now the Chug only has 40 in it, but that is plenty considering where they just left off from. Meanwhile, we pan over to the other side. Visual Braid still in the running. Clicks and Higgs there in the distance too. Much different story for our second and third place leaders here. 99 above for them, so things are just on pace, but the pressure is starting to slow creep here. But look at this, Clicks and Higgs might be going for another high ground positioning.
Yeah, this is actually a smart rotation by them. We saw Bucky down, rolling around at the bottom. Zen was trying to save, but Visuals and Braids were pushing up. Instead of focusing any pressure in that direction, they immediately rotate to zone. Jump on board Rapid, less than 25 HP. Luckily, he has Cold by his side, holding on to those builds, making sure they don't get pushed for free. It's actually separated right now. They're in 2 different boxes. That would have been a perfect time to strike onto Rapid, but Cold is looking through the cone, gathering information, waiting for Rapid to make the rotation on over into the same box. Meanwhile, he finds another big elim onto Magma. This is how you create moments instead of waiting for them.
That timing couldn't have been better, and Cole's got the right idea. He's thinking this guy has to get knocked somewhere close by, but unfortunately is going to be out of reach, and they could have used that little bit of loot right there, but the fact that Cold and Rapid have managed to kind of found a stable ground here, that's going to be a problem for the standings. Meanwhile, Visual and Braids is like the sleeper duo we're not talking enough about right now. They have just remained so competitive, and while all eyes are on Cold, Rapid, Clicks, Higgs, Peterbot Boyo, you have Visuals and Braids slowly working their way up the standings as well.
Yeah, they didn't even really look up on high ground. They know how many teams like to go up there. They said, you guys can have it. We're going to wait and find these perfect eliminations
4
down
elims.
below as another one spotted out onto Wagers. No Slepsy in this game, which means that team is fully eliminated out of the game. Braids and Visuals are continuously heating up here in this game. Peterbot as well. I did see Preston go down. Luckily, we get a huge view of how Peterbot and Poi were able to pick up another elimination.
I like he captures Preston, opens it, and Preston tries to jump out the box immediately. Just never know. Meanwhile, Higgs and Clicks tanking Storm to get some ultimate positioning here, but Clicks gets collapsed on by Dozier and Eshu, and just like that, he is slightly out of position, but so is Acorn too. Higgs tries to break the bills there. It's Bolts who goes up for a cheeky little high ground play there, and it's all up to Higgs now to try to play this out for positioning here. This is going to be close, but hey, he's got this mountain, which is all natural elevated here to work with. Dozier, Ishu know that they've taken one out from the top. Up they go. Peterbot and Boyo bounce their way back into the game now. 5 eliminations for this team, and finally now big placement points are being earned here.
Yeah, if you didn't watch the last couple of minutes, you would almost not even know Peterbot and Boyle were such in a drastic situation, forced to literally fight their way out. Cold and Rapid as well. They finally reunite into the same box, but they're getting pressured on the other side. Rapid's trying to hold on for dear life. Cold is there. They're just trading shots back and forth, but Rapid is taking most of that brute force. Luckily for him, Cold is there, just trying to push that team further and further out towards the zone. There's really no time for Rapid to heal. He has to make this rotation with barely a sliver of HP before him and Cold once again reunite on the front side of the zone.
Cold is just playing so well. He is taking like no damage while all this is happening. Meanwhile, Peterbot and Boya, if you blink, you missed it. They went up for high ground. They contest the team. They take down Dozier and Eshu. Eshu's already knocked here. Peterbot now shockwaves down to connect with his teammate, and they are on high ground looking to make up for lost time. 7 eliminations and going. Meanwhile, Cold continuing to find elims as well. It's all a runaway train though if you are Rapid and Cold here.
Oh, but Ritual and Agers, they made a play for high ground, and they get the knock onto Peterbot. Nobody is now solidified as that team up above. Cold is even trying to retake it. Rapid shockwave up.
gosh.
One team's loss is another team's gain, but they get chopped yet again. Agers and Ritual, the persistence is there. They're ready to fight for it all. That fight for that first place spot on the leaderboard. Doesn't matter who's in their path. They're ready to bulldoze their way out of the lobby.
It's only a matter of time before someone else gets a victory royale, but then you have Visual and Braids here at 8 eliminations. Again, the team that no one is talking about is running things on the mid-ground. Make it 9, make it possibly even 10 here in the coming moments. Meanwhile, Cold is on the ultimate low ground, no mass, nothing to work with, and he is just earning placement points. The one thing that's holding him back from really breaking away here, and now he's inside the top 6, and another elim is all his.
Yeah, the zone passes over Cold, allows him to cut back onto Carillion. Now he has another player in his line of sight, which is Madden, but there's still duos in his path as well. Visuals and Braids. These are all heavy hitters that are looking to end the run of first place here, but he gets 5th overall. Cold and Rapid continue the hot streak, but there's only 2 duos left alive. Visuals and Braids, winners of game 1. Agers and Ritual inside of the top 3. They get that first knock onto Visuals. Braids falls shortly after. Agers and Ritual take the game.
In a great fashion there too, but Visuals and Braids now a 2nd place. They already won a game here today. What more can you ask of these teams? It is a who's who in the end game here for game number 5 there, Zeke.
FTF, the chaos. It's too much. I cannot believe it. There is just so much packed into these games, man. There's just people overdriving in the air, fighting each other, contesting height, fighting on the front side of the zone, bottom of the zone, mid zone. It doesn't matter. There's chaos everywhere. But in this moment, Agers and Ritual have found themselves a victory royale in game number 5, and in the process took down the titan that is Peterbot. Kelly, I feel like if that doesn't give me a boost of confidence, I don't know what will.
Yeah, I need to apologize. I was kind of questioning how Agers and Ritual were in 5th place with a 21st and a 17th. I'm sorry. I'd like to apologize. Clearly, your placements are not an issue because you're walking away with a victory royale in game number 5. And you're talking about the chaos, Zeke. You're talking about how we weren't able to really follow along. Well, they were kind of able to just forego all of the chaos, Vivid. Agers and Ritual just kind of allowed themselves to sit in the mid-ground, saw all the chaos happening on the high ground, and then waited for everyone to kind of get that out of their system before they went for height and then able to hold it.
Yeah, patience being key here for the duo. Yeah, all that chaos, I like couldn't even keep up what was happening. We had solo clutches going on. Low ground was fighting for this. High ground was fighting for that. And yeah, at the end of it all, Aegis and Ritual somehow not only impressively like got the win, but got it as a duo. Sometimes when those games get so chaotic, it's really, really hard to stay healthy as a duo. But from the high ground, it was easy for them to do, and they got that game win. And I can only imagine what the leaderboard is going to look like.
Oh man, one game left to go, Viv. When we return after this short break, we'll start taking a look at that leaderboard. We'll start setting things up because remember, we have 6 games today, and then after the 6 tomorrow, we are crowning champions. Fortnite fam, we're gonna take a step away. When we return, we prepare ourselves for the last game of the day. See you in a bit.
Cold and Rapid first place with a decent lead. 100 points over third place. Coda and Rapid might take day 1. Take one on both still with 275. Not too far back, not too far, but still big lead. Clicks and Hegs, third place. 234. Need 100 points to even tie with first place right now. Beat by Emporio, 10 points behind Clicks in 4th place. Threat and Via, 5th place, 4 points behind Peterbot. Grades, 5 points behind Threat. Yeah, this is one close game. Top 10, beating Cooper. Veno, 11. Alright, let's see. Okay, no, wait. NPen got above Nut. And prom thing. Alright, well, let me find Chimp 30, okay. But no way, Blake and Preston 33, yo, they ain't doing so hard, are they? Power and Penta. They're not doing so hard. Bucky and Zen. Ooh, that's 35. Above, below, enough insult though. Enough low key. I mean, the Audi though, low key not bad. Especially for him being like low key new to competitive.
Milk.
By the way, if y'all haven't already, go drop a follow.
Stay there.
Fortnite fam, welcome back to the FNCS. This is Major 1. This is day 1. Kelly, don't laugh. I'm panicking. I'm stressing. Much has developed after this last game. In case you just tuned in, maybe you're just like, oh man, I've had a long day coming in. I'm watching the FNCS. Welcome. Happy that you're here. Game 5 went the way of Agers and Ritual, which is massive for the duo. They ended with 267 points. As we take a look at those standings, this now puts them in 4th place. This is huge for them. Now we only have a single game left to go here. I don't know how, but Cold and Rapid continue to hold on. They just continue to just find these little consistencies. They just chain together these situations, Kelly, and it's enough, right? A 5th place, 6 elims, and still they are ahead of the pack. It's only 20 points, but if we just keep doing that, right, we just stay ahead of everybody else.
No, you keep saying, I don't know how, and then you explain exactly how. They're constantly making it into the end game. They haven't placed below 8th. They have 30 eliminations, which is more than anyone else in the lobby right now. Cold and Rapid are completely locked in, and this is exactly what I wanted to see at the end of day 1. We can talk about all the other teams right now. There's so many narratives to go on, but to see Cold and Rapid, a team that, for whatever reason, I say for whatever reason, it's because Cold, for whatever reason, doesn't play Fortnite all the time, and you gotta wonder if he did play as much Fortnite as some of these other players like a Peterbot or a Clix, just how much even better he would be, Vivid.
It's crazy watching back some of the replays from that game. You can see a lot of the times how close their game is to being over, right? They were kind of walking around on the mid-ground layer. They had 0 builds to their name, and that was top 16, right? There was 16 teams left alive when that actually happened, right? No builds. It seemed like the game was pretty much going to be done, and somehow that game ends up being a 5th place for them. Like, these guys just will not lose. They will not go down without picking up a plethora of points to keep them in that 1st place spot. Now, they are in 1st place, but hot on their heels right now. Visuals and Braids, they did close the gap that game for sure. Visual and Braids picked up a 2nd place with 10 eliminations, which, I mean, dude, that is huge. As you can see, I mean, yeah, they're winning out on the placement points right now. Those eliminations is probably all of the difference between them in 1st place right now.
I mean, Visuals and Braids is, again, we talked about it at the last year. They were constantly getting 4th place in 2 different majors when they played with Diminished. And before we went live, Jacob PR said that they are the best duo that we never talk about. For whatever reason, they only lock in when it comes to the grand finals. But when they do it big, and they're always in the top 5. They're always beating out some of the bigger teams that we talk about. So I would love to give them the flowers that they deserve. And finally, by being in 2nd place after or towards the end of day 1, they're just grabbing the flowers themselves and saying, look what we can do.
It's scary, right? If Cold and Rapid make one of those little mistakes we've kind of been talking about, you know, Visual and Braids, they're ready to capitalize. They really are. It's got me questioning, guys. Like, obviously we make the joke like Cold doesn't play the game. What if, conspiracy theory, I'm going to break out my own board here. What if Cold has a secret account we don't know about and he's playing Fortnite all the time? Think about it. Think about it. Let's go back to those. Hot.
Sorry.
Let's go back to the standings. Kelly, don't make me laugh on broadcast. Let's go back to the standings. We got to talk about Clix and Higgs, Peterbot and Poyo. Their battle continues, man, for like a while. Clix and Higgs were like, they were pulled away. But look at this. We're just separated by 10 points. Oh, man. Even after those 2 victory royales, Kelly, I'm looking at those 10 elims being the difference maker right now. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Well, this is the moment right now that we can see the misstep from Clix and Higgs. We know that they love to take an early high ground, and they saw zone pulling towards this mountain, and so they kind of thought, let's get an early aggression onto this high ground. We're going to claim it, but they stayed in Storm just a little too long, taking a little bit too much damage that Higgs and Clix were not able to recover from, Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, they look like they were in prime position to go ahead and win that game, right? Kind of launching up on top of the hill right there. Just a little bit of an over peak from Clix. Got beamed by the rifle. I would have to imagine that was, you know, on the receiving end from Ishu, who was going to be the player that ended up aggressing towards him. So Clix and Higgs, yes, 234 points in 5th place. Right behind them, like we talked about, Peterbot and Poyo, 6th place, 224 points. Honestly, not a terrible game from Peterbot and Poyo, right? It doesn't really like feel like that because we didn't see them in the end game. We don't really like see them fly up to leaderboard right now, so we're kind of like, okay, it doesn't really look like they had a good game. They got 12th place, so not the best placement, but picked up 8 eliminations, which is their most eliminations so far throughout the day in a single game. So super cool to see. Really liked the high ground play from them, by the way, because as you can see, the elevation changes that were kind of happening over here amongst the natural terrain allowed it so an overdrive grenade combined with a mist actually allowed them to float up to like perfect height to take the fight up there. So super cool to kind of see them make a good play like that. I think ultimately another team ended up getting the best of them. Yeah, that was Ritual and Adris who went up. And I swear, Kelly, we kind of talked about it. These fights that keep happening up in the sky, it's so wild to me. Is there no other better play to make in those scenarios?
Yeah, what was it? Ritual launched up in the air, and then Peter followed up launching in the air as well to shoot Rituals, but then Agers followed Peterbot and shot him instead. And you gotta wonder just how distracted everyone is that there's just 2 different duos floating up in the air having their own Dragon Ball Z fight, and no one else is looking up towards them. But 5 games, 1 more for day 1 Zeke, and it's just so much has already happened.
I know, Kelly, this is it. Okay, this is the final opportunity for these duos to cement their day 1 performance, because they're gonna have to look to pick up the pieces that they've laid out tomorrow, right? And bring whatever they've learned into tomorrow's 6 games and fight for either spots going to Dusseldorf and the Summit, or an Axe of Champions and a title, right? Like, this is so crazy. One last game today before we say goodbye. Casters, for the last time, take it away.
Honestly, Monster, I feel like we're just sitting down for game 1, starting the day, and we're in game number 6. The last chance that these duos have for today to try to get as many points and close that gap as possible.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have had another coffee before this all started. I really didn't need it. The competition is that good right now with Cold and Rapid in such a monstrous lead. Let's just see if they can hold on to it.
Game 6.
It might be too early to start making a little prediction. Who's landing on who's ready to take it by force. But this is game 6, and honestly, where you stand at the end of today, you're gonna have to go elimination crazy tomorrow. You're gonna have to get consistent top placings if you do want to win this competition, as Jack and NPen do fly down at their drop spot uncontested this time around. They got to watch out for the mountain ranges with Cole and Madden, Acorn and Bolt, and even Frigid Fortress where Osin and Scare land. But for now, it does look like they're going to have a good early game.
Still can't believe Paper's trying to 50-50 this weapon here, considering he fell off the mountain before, but this time he does win the exchange there. He is up 1. He's got full control here. Other fights happening in the feed. Seems like a little bit of a mix-up. Saw Ritual take down Raven. Wonder if that's because he put boots on the ground first and took him out the sky. We'll end up getting some updates there shortly. Jumping in with Cold and Rapid, though. I mean, Jacob, talk to me, dude. What do you think needs to happen in order for the Kings of Dark Dominion to fall?
Honestly, they just need to have a game that is unlike any other. Their worst game today is in 8th place with 5 eliminations. So it's going to be hard to topple over a team like this. You see Max, you see Moppings. No, I know by looking at this point of view, you'd think they're going to run into each other, but Max and Moppings are underneath in those little turbines, just trying to loot. It's a little bit of a split drop. Cold and Rapid don't typically go underneath there. So it does look like both of those teams, you know, I'm doing air quotes here, uncontested in this game. Nothing too much to worry about. Visuals and Braids, we've seen them at the start of some of these games so far. They don't really stray away from their plan. They are in the center of the zone. They just got to hope that they get the good loot, because they don't normally go and scoop loot up else from anywhere else.
Just take me way back to that like Cami Seti day where they were landing kind of split mountains and having full control of the center zone. No problems with rotates, but give us a second here. Peterbot, Boyo doing what they need to do, finding an early elimination, rotating out. This is almost looking like a repeat performance of game 3 and 4, where they wanted to play hyper aggressive to start making up for points. And it has seemed to pay off for them for the most part, right? Like, all they're missing is kind of closing things out and making some big end game performance or positioning points, but the elims are definitely there.
You know they can pop off at a moment's notice. We tune in Acorn and Bolts. This is one of those drops where you don't necessarily get contested if you're Acorn and Bolts, because it usually narrows down to just kind of like 2 separate 50-50s on top of the mountain for those chests, where Acorn and Bolts usually, more times than not, have beaten out teams like Peterbot and Poyo to kind of go ahead and claim this drop as their own, which kind of means they're safe for the early portions of this game. 20, not so much. Neko's already down, so the world is literally on his shoulders for the last game of today. But luckily for him, there's still so many other teams right by him battling it out. It's going to allow him to disengage for free.
Yeah, he gets saved by Bucky and Zen, who just come in and then get crashed on. They thought they were going to set up the big alert, but it seems like they were spotted out. Meanwhile, Listen and Aloe seem to have been fragmented apart as well. Well, he's forced to play by himself, so quite the messy start for all 4 of these teams or so. Meanwhile, Braids, though, falls here. It's all up to Visuals. Big problem here. It's Magma and G Monster who come crashing the party here. Visual, though, gets collapsed on. It's not looking good. G Monster's in the box. Visual forced to back off, and I don't think he's going to be able to get away, but G Monster fails a little edit there. This gives him some time. Visual gets a little heal off, and this is so close. Just like that. Second place is down and out. They thought they were safe on the mountain here, and it's just all over.
Luckily for them, they have a 36-point gap. They are in second place, like you said, 311 points. Third place is Acorn and Bolts at 275. So a little bit of a cushion. You got to imagine they're going to fall from that second place spot. But how high do they stay on the leaderboard after this game is said and done? Is what really going to matter. Start bot reviewing a little bit early as Peterbot Boyle continues their rampage, returning back to Squibbly Shores for Mafia and the Tick. This is where they went to try to get that reboot off. Maybe they're going to pick somewhere better because they just get eliminated yet again. The Tick is literally going to be left by himself. Not sure exactly where he's at, but he has to be close by because the reboot just went off.
Nice little pickups there, but you know what? Last game they did this too, and they still found themselves not exactly in a position to, you know, outpace the general surge damage. So these elims are just coming across as super quick, but it will come down to can they pick apart other teams, and the rotates there as far as positioning is. But Curvin, Veno back into the mix here, back in the action. Last game was a generally decent one. This looks like a little deja vu as they take down Chance and Tyler once again here. When we tuned in like Zone 4, they had 6 elims. We'll see what they end up doing this game.
Yeah, really just taking quick advantage of the teams that are contested on the south side of Battlewood, whether it's just damage or full-on eliminations just like that. They have their game plan set and ready to go. Acorn and Bolt, similar for them. This time around, you see them get off of the mountain right away. They have a feeling the zone is not going to pull over in that direction, so they want to get one of these priority positions over towards Painted Palms. A little bit of a mountain. They go ahead and replenish some of those builds, brick and metal, and they're going to sit Bolts up top, and he's going to be the primary source for their search.
Got the split once again from Higgs and Clicks here. This time, not opting to sit right on top of the wonky land. They want to be a bit dynamic here. So the mountains, this bush here, it is. Creon and Dragon there, based up in the distance. Clicks might find some tags here shortly.
Higgs a bait right there. One of them in the bush. He knows Higgs is going to be able to watch his back. Got to make sure Clicks doesn't get lurked on for free, and vice versa. Trying threats and fear. Riptide, uncontested. They've been able to get the Mythic more times than not. Just having to put it to use. 220 points. They're in contention of that top 13 spot. About 114 points away from first place as well. So one good game here to close out the day for a good chunk of the teams. Possibly bounce him into first place as Bucky does go down. Blake and Preston are able to get both of those eliminations and even a third on top.
It's a very nice set of points right there. Keeping them in the conversation so far. Again, there are still teams fighting for that top 13 to make it to land. Jacob, you want to take a glance at what's the threshold, just so we can continue to kind of bake that into the story here, because I know we're looking at obviously who's in the championship race, but remember, there's so much more on the line for this first majors.
Yeah, right now it's at 158 points, and that's being held by Slepsy and Wages, barring any eliminations early on in this game, of course. And it just goes to show how close it is, because below them, Scare and Osid, 156, Tyler and Chance, Jargo and Carillion tied at 150, H-Cube and Encrypted at 138. Literally, one elim separates so many teams from the next placement point. A couple of actual placement points throughout the course of this game could really change the role. And last time we saw Threats and Veer, and looking like clean rotations through the zone, but they get spotted out by Curve and Veno, and in an instant they go down.
And they were in 7th coming into this game, so that's going to open things up for sure for everyone else below them.
Passed out for like a minute.
Madden, Cole here are one of those teams inside the top 10 that are just trailing behind them. It's quite the jump, too, from 8th and 9th. It's a 20-point jump to get to Threats and Veer, who was at 220 points there. So you can see that because they fall, this standings in general is going to become more and more condensed towards the bottom. Boyo Peterbot, though, continue the aggression. We've seen them actually fight this team before and come out successful. They just seem to be essentially picking apart these same duos in their vicinity, and this is how they're earning all these points here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's planned or not, but kind of like what you're saying, just one elim, let the reboot go down, clean the elim up again. Only 3 so far. 2 of the elims are on one of the same players, then he's able to get Skinny Cat, someone they eliminated in an earlier game. But all of that was going down. Guess what I saw on the feed? This here, Veno with a double elimination, the shockwaves and the fizz. And the interesting thing about that is you don't necessarily get the audio visuals, so he is just sneaking on players left and right.
This is how they're doing it. This is how they're basically the most successful early game team I think we've tuned in with on this entire tournament day. They could just clean up their end games, get a little bit of luck on the zones, maybe some positioning. They'll be up at the top. So tomorrow could be a day of adjustment for them, and we could very well see a Veno curve comeback. Mod Sphinx were in that same conversation for quite some time, but again, just coming up short, finding themselves being picked apart, I think, by Peterbot and Boyo in that last game there, as they fell at 20 a little bit earlier.
No, Curve getting aggressive. This is for place thereafter. They got the elim onto Cold. Rapid's now by himself, stuck in a tough spot, trying to get out. Use the Porta Potty. King and Aviv in there are as well. They're just trying to get out, and now Curve and Veno have to make that decision. Do we go along with them? It does look like that answer is going to be yes, but luckily for them, King, Aviv, they've already rotated on out. 2,000 damage almost above the threshold. Veno and Curve realize the situation that they're in, Monster, taking a page out of Peterbot's playbook, saying, hey, if we have any hope of winning this tournament, it's going to be by eliminations and coming back.
The best part about that is Veno and Queasy quite literally set that trend, right? They were the first villains we've ever had in the Fortnite lore. Veno's at 7 eliminations total right here alongside Curve. This is just some exceptional performance right now. And again, it just makes you wonder. They have been the most successful early game duo that we have seen when it comes down to just the way they've managed to ambush duo after duo. It is just a matter of finding placement points in the end game for them.
I'm feeling a big Veno game here. I'm feeling a big Veno game here. Gold pistol, mythic iron pump. This dude is going to turn, look at people, and they are going to go out like a light. So I'm eager to see how he continues to perform. If he does make it into the next portion of the game. Max pull, though, for Peterbot, Poyo, and a few others. Much better off, though, in this game than they have in previous games in terms of that Storm Surge. Almost 800 above the threshold. Kind of doing something similar to Curve and Veno, looking around for those eliminations. They've been able to close the fights down pretty quick, not extending them to where they're trading damage back and forth. They just got to worry about this rotation here. We're kind of seeing the other side, exactly that. Rapid by himself. And honestly, any points here from Rapid are huge. He just needs to get inside of the top 25.
Got to give himself a little bit of cushion to work with here. Now, remember, Visuals and Braids is down as well in second place. So first and second go down. This is the perfect scenario for an Acorn and Bolt to have an opportunity to kind of solidify a lead going into day 2. And Acorn has not been someone who has often had successful day 1s. He usually comes back stronger day 2. And although he's won major 1 for the last 3 years consecutively, it has not been easy performances, no easy walkaway, no runaway performances. It has come down to strong day 2 kind of cleanups in his performance. So this is by far the best we've seen so far. Just keep that in mind as you watch this game go down. So if Rapid can manage to clutch up, the rest of this entire tournament is in trouble, right? Now, if he falls early, as he probably should, everyone's got a chance.
Yeah, if I'm Rapid, I'm aiming for top 12, top 10. That's a good chunk of the placement points. Almost half. We're in the top 8, you get those, but he gets spotted out. You can see he's running low on materials. Uses the shockwave to try to get away, and he's going further outside of the zone to try to hope there's less and less people in this pathward inward. 89 above the damage threshold. A couple shots are going to connect there in that instant. But you can see he's just trying to return back to some of these boxes, maybe even break his way in to try to find any scraps left behind. But he's just waiting for the zone actually forces him to move in. That's where he's going to dig in the pocket and try to pull out those shockwaves.
He's getting a couple tags there while he's at it. Meanwhile, Muzz and Sphinx healing just outside the box of Peterbot and Boyo. They're looking, they're trying to see if Muzz is going to make a mistake and weaken that wall with an edit. That's all it's going to take for them to break right in. They say, nah, screw it. We're going to go on and break in ourselves. Meanwhile, Ritual takes down Blink and Preston here. The little side angle. And Agers and Rituals are very much in the race right now. This is going to be a team that we're going to have to be talking about here shortly. If they go for high ground, if they go for a win. Rapid, you see him on the side of our screen just flying across now. And everyone here in this back corner, Jacob, is in a world of trouble.
Yeah, they barely got above that damage threshold for Muzz and Sphinx, because that would have been Muzz going down. He had 24 HP. One strike takes him out of this game, but luckily for him, the Chug Jug's there. Poyo's down. Veno's down. Rapid's still alive, and for Rapid, with how things have been looking, this is a huge blessing with a bunch of our Juggernauts being left as solos.
Curve, that's it. That's all that's left to kind of play this one out. Placement points hasn't even been given out, mind you. Peterbot's also solo here. So everyone that has this blessed opportunity to try to close the gap is now left as solos. Sphinx in the same position as well, 66 below. He's taking damage in your bottom right. Peterbot's just lurking here, waiting for a chance. Everyone here just wants position, mind you.
Just to simply even get in the zone. 3 different solos. And the world of difference that they're all going through is Sphinx literally has 2 HP trying to find his way out. Curve finds another elimination. That's Higgs. That's an elimination onto Higgs.
Oh my God.
Not sure if Clicks is still left alive. Didn't necessarily see a knock there, but another big name being put on the back foot here. Even Sphinx barely surviving. I'm not even sure how he's not been looked at once. Barely just 2 HP. Clicks is in fact still alive. So another big name left as solos here. Luckily for all 3 on screen, all of them are going to be above the damage threshold. Even more so as Peterbot finds another elimination.
This is crazy right now. Peterbot's putting up the clutch here that he needed for the tournament. There goes the big shockwave to get him into the zone. He's just going to take the most advantage of having that max stamina. And there he goes. Changes layers now. He's in a strong position. Meanwhile, Sphinx is still at 2 HP. He is slowly earning placement points, though, here. He can't afford to play with the zone. These are some of his old builds here. He's going to still continue to go around the outskirts. Bringing focus back to the left, though. I mean, this is insane to kind of watch play out right now. Everyone here, although they are solo, are playing exceptionally well. Curves on the heels of Clicks, though. Clicks barely manages to get away there.
Yeah, you can see right now in terms of Curve, he's really just out of builds entirely. 0 left, gets spotted out on the other edge, can't build to protect himself, so he scrambles around until he's finally taken down. That's a big elim by Peterbot there. You said it yourself, 266 points, single-handedly trying to put the team and the game on his back, close the gap. Coming into tomorrow, Click's trying to do the same thing, but it's a diminished in hobby. We talk about solos here in this game. We finally had a duo emerge as the high ground team.
And Clicks is still in this as well. Couple builds, but QK Contrap got him cornered. Meanwhile, Agers and Ritual finally start finding more eliminations. They're one of the stronger duos still alive in the low ground right now. They find a refresher, and Clicks here, although he's got no eliminations, that's been the problem with Clicks and Higgs. They've gotten the placement points, but they need the elims. And what more can you ask for from Clicks right now as he's almost inside the top 10. He runs into a full duo. He has to back off. Monster shot there, though, just to kind of keep pressure on these opponents, but he's got to be careful. He still has no builds. And there's another duo there. It's Acorn and Bolts just waiting to pick them up. And they secure an elim. Up to second place. Acorn and Bolts go now as they are inside the top 3.
Yep, now this to be able to secure a win. Who knows? We might be able to see them at first when the day is over. Peaks, finds a big shot. Agers goes down, though. You see Ritual scrambling around. Even with 3 builds left, he's trying to be calculated about how he uses his materials. Big shot gonna be supplied. I'm not even sure why Dozier went back, but he's gonna regret that one as Ritual picks up a big elim. Even more so, the Siphon keeping him alive. Runs into HQ on the other side. Ritual is going off right now, picking up another couple of eliminations.
We had to jump off that beat for just a second. Down he goes at 7th place. It's Reed who's here to meet everyone with the shotgun shot. Now it's Reed's turn. Down goes Contrap. Down goes QK. Here here shortly. Can he get the shot? No, he doesn't. And he falls just in the top 5. Meanwhile, Bolts is still alive here, clutching up replacement points. Just doing it big here. Everyone you expect to perform is doing it here and now.
Yep, 2 solos left alive, 2 duos. I'm Enough and Salt. They're taking the charge down below, but they're also taking the focus from that team up above. Bolt's trying to hide the audio visuals, realizing no builds left, can't continue to protect himself. Mythic 1 pump away, but he goes down, not able to get the max 200. So that leaves I'm Enough, another player as a solo. Salt's going down. Aminish and Javier firing up from above, trying to burn through those materials. Enough does go down. They don't even know where this last player's at, but he's up above trying to catch him off guard. That's QK. There is a moment here, Monster. Whoa. He gets almost Aminish down. There it goes. The knock is cleaned up. QK! QK! Oh my God! I've never witnessed that in one of the biggest lobbies of our time.
197 points now. He might have just did enough after this weekend is over to send himself to LAN. That is the type of performance we want to see here on the final stage, Zeke.
That was...
Yeah, no, Zeke, that
that was
definitely
insane. No, Kelly, hold on.
Sorry.
That was insane. First off, Jacob PR, MDF, thank you guys so much. Fantastic to the cast. Oh my gosh. QK, first off, can we just say that was the game of solos? Every duo was just a solo, right? Like all these high profile duos, and even in this situation, QK with Khan gets put in a solo situation and 1v2s for the VR, and Kelly and gets 8 elims when it matters. That's crazy. That's
to
crazy.
go from our last chance qualifier to getting the final victory royale of day 1 definitely is setting QK and Khan up for an interesting storyline. And there was a moment we could even hear the casters saying, I don't even know where this other solo player is. I thought it was a 2v2. It was Javi and Aminish versus Salt. I Am Enough. We don't have to worry about this 5th player. But no, Vivid, you do have to worry because it's Fortnite. And if there's anything you can predict, it's the unpredictable. So big shout outs to QK and Khan.
Yeah, QK just coming out from nowhere. We actually saw him pick up the elimination in the storm. So he must have been healing out there before he made the return to the zone. MDF kind of caught it out. QK, after his incredible solo clutch, was able to pick them up enough points to put them on 197. I can tell you right now, going into that game, they had a total point count of 100. So they basically doubled their points based on that solo performance right there. Doubled.
I'm telling you, one game, a single game can change absolutely everything for these players. Congratulations again, QK Khan. VR game number 6. Okay. This was it. So first off, we have wrapped up the 6 games for today. So before we take a look at the standings, again, I just want to remind you, we have 6 more games tomorrow. So this day was all about cementing a lead, coming in, making a statement, and making sure you have enough points that when you start tomorrow in those 6 games, you have what you need. You have enough gas in the tank to get you over to the finish line to either qualify being in top 13 to the summit or look to hold the active champions high. I've gotten word standings are crazy. That being said, I guess let's go ahead, take a look and see what these look like as we prepare for tomorrow's game.
Of course.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess let's just start top to bottom. We'll start top to bottom. Acorn and Bolts have suddenly moved in to first place off of Bolts solo, a 4th place, 4 elims. Kelly, how?
I mean, it's Acorn and Bolts. That's how. Of course, it is Acorn and Cold in 1st and 2nd place with a single point separating them, Vivid. My gosh. But that's also not even to consider just how close everyone in our top 4 is. That is just 28 points separating 1st from 4th place.
Incredible run here. You know, I can't lie. Acorn and Bullets, they've had, I would consider kind of like a quiet day. I don't think anything kind of crazy has happened. I mean, they won game number 4, but you know, it's not like they like popped off like huge amount of eliminations. Bolts has had a couple of solo clutches where he's picked up, like, just a couple of eliminations to kind of keep it going. But I would honestly say that it's felt kind of quiet. Like, we've been highlighting these other teams who have had pop-off performances, pop-off wins. You blink and you miss it. The guys are at the top of the leaderboard somehow. I mean, yeah, it's close up there, but incredible to kind of see them sneak their way up there, in my opinion.
1 point. A single point! Of course. Cold and Rapid, 1 point behind. Now, again, so this is something we talk about, like, and we kind of sprinkle it in here and there, but, like, you can't make mistakes at this stage, right? You make a mistake, that allows everyone else in the lobby to make a move, to kind of, like, say, hey, you're out of the way. Sick, let's push harder. For Acorn and Rapid, they fell 26th with 1 elim in that game, right? And think about how far ahead they were. And now, because of that mistake, Acorn and Bolts are at 1 point ahead of us. It took 1 game for that to kind of, like, fall apart, Kelly.
Yeah, it's wild just how much our narrative can shift with a single game, with a single elimination. And I mean, right now, if we're talking about single movements, I do have to look at the threshold right now, reminding everyone we are looking at the top 13 to make it in Dusseldorf. And that is QK and Khan right now, currently sitting in 13th place. So that win, if this was just a one-day tournament, that last game would literally be the deciding factor on if they're going on an international trip to compete in a LAN. So I love it. That is what this is all about, Vivid. It is about these crazy games that can completely shift the storyline.
Yeah, I mean, we run everything back tomorrow and everything pans out the way exactly as it did today. Hey, UK Con, they're going to the summit. So an incredible performance. And UK's like, man, I got to do that again tomorrow to qualify. Are you kidding me? Poor guy sweating over there. He's like, wow, that was incredible. We need a reaction to that, by the way, on socials. I'm expecting to see it.
Oh man, yeah, that's the thing, right? Viv is like, we've got another 6 games tomorrow, right? And it may not even be, hey, I need to run that back. It's I might need to do just like the very best I can to make sure that I'm just enough ahead of the other team that I can stay in that contention, right? I want to just bring up the leaderboard just one more time, and obviously, like, we have a show tomorrow. We're gonna break all this down. We're gonna take some time to look at everything to prepare a show for you guys tomorrow, but. Just look at this, even in 3rd place, Agers and Ritual, right? Look at that top 3. It's only 8 points separating first.
But anyways, chat. Oh, hold up. Yeah, let me clear that. But anyways, chat. That was your FNCS watch party. Yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace out.